Good morning, everyone. Good morning and happy Easter Sunday. I'm the Reverend William Levwood, affectionately known as Rev Lev. My pronouns are he and him, and I am the minister here at Accotink Unitarian Universalist Church. We're so delighted that you decided to join us this Easter Sunday.
Good morning. Happy Easter, happy end of Passover, and happy Sunday for those of you who don't care about Easter or Passover. I'm Connie Diamant, and I'm happy to be your worship associate today. I'm also a member of the choir, and it is by far the happiest hour and a half of the week, so join the choir if you can. This congregation is a welcoming and inclusive spiritual home where we inspire each other to live our values. Together we care in community, grow in spirit, and act for justice. Whether you're a longtime member or a newcomer or something in between, we're so delighted you could be here today, and welcome. We encourage everyone to stay for social hour immediately after the service.
So, we have a special service today, as we always do on the third Sunday of the month. It's a multi-generational service. That means that the children and youth stay in the service throughout the entire service. On other Sundays, the children and youth are with us for the first 15 or 20 minutes and then go downstairs for their spiritual development classes. But today, they stay for the whole service. So today is Easter, and I was reminded this morning that last Sunday I said that this would be an Easter service probably like none other you've ever experienced. And I think that's true. I didn't even want to wear Easter colors this morning. I wanted to wear black pants and a red shirt, which might seem odd. It's kind of like a goth Easter or something. I don't know. But you'll see, if you pay attention, why I might have wanted that fashion choice with the symbolism of the service. But I was told I should wear Easter colors, so I did. I also wanted to mention that we do Easter differently at this congregation, and I think in many UU churches it's different. Some churches do our Unitarian Universalist flower communion on Easter Sunday, and some churches, we do that flower communion, we'll do that in a month, the third Sunday in May. We're celebrating Easter today, yeah? Does anybody know what Easter is usually about? What? Did you all hear that? For kids, it's candy. There we go. So everybody has different versions of Easter. We're going to talk about Jesus and his resurrection. You guys want to say more. What else do you want to say? Yeah, it was kind of the day that Jesus died, but it wasn't exactly, because actually, yes, it's to celebrate Jesus' life. Yeah.
It's the day he came back to life and the beginning of spring.
It's the day he came back to life and the beginning of spring. Nice to put that little pagan star in there. I appreciate that. I was telling you about past. Actually, last year we talked about Inanna, the Sumerian goddess, and her journey into the underworld on Easter, and related that to Jesus' death and resurrection. And the 2 years before that, this is my fourth year at this congregation, we did more traditional versions of Easter. I think we even took communion on some of those Sundays and talked about the bread of life and being the yeast for the world.
My name is Michelle Anderson, and I am the Children and Youth Spiritual Development Director here. And today we wanted to teach you about the Unitarian Universalist chalice. So if you could light our chalice, please. Unitarian Universalists often light a chalice to signify that our time together is special. The flaming chalice is a sign of our UU identity, and you'll find it on our literature, in our sacred spaces, and even sometimes on our bodies. But what is it, and where did the flaming chalice come from?
The UU flaming chalice consists of at least two parts. One, a special cup that holds a candle or oil and wick. And two, the fire of the lit wick. Many other religions use a special cup or chalice and oil or candles, but combining them together is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith.
Originally, the flaming chalice was created in 1941 by the Unitarian Service Committee as a symbol to help refugees escape Nazi persecution. Regardless of what language the refugees spoke, they could recognize the drawn symbol as a sign of help, hope, sanctuary, and love.
In 1961, when Unitarianism merged with Universalism, two overlapping circles were added to represent each of the two faith traditions. And in the 1970s, children began making those two-dimensional flaming chalice images to three-dimensional chalices that could be lit in classes and in worship.
In 2014, the Unitarian Universalist Association offered a different flaming chalice symbol, a visual representation of a modern and dynamic faith. Unitarian Universalists today have many different designs for their flaming chalices and just as many different interpretations of the symbol.
Maybe for you, the flaming chalice stands for the light of reason, the warmth of community, or the flame of hope. Perhaps it represents mystery, illuminating truth, acceptance, or justice. Our wish is that you also find that the flaming chalice stands for Accotink and for love. May the light of our chalice be with you today and every day.
When our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise and fulfillment and our future can begin.
For those of you who are new today and haven't been to one of our worship services before, we have two different types of worship. We have one where the children go downstairs children and youth, after the story for our Time for All Ages. But today is a special service. It's a multi-gen, and the children and youth will stay upstairs. And so that means that we try to make it more interactive. We'll sing the same songs again, and we may have crafts for kids to do. But today there will be crafts. Today there's a craft that everyone can do if you would like. So I'll explain that after our song that we sing again after the story. But first, we have a wisdom story. This is a story of the phoenix. Does anybody know what a phoenix is? What's a phoenix? A bird when it dies that comes back from the ashes. Anything else? It's a firebird. Yeah. Right, it's a firebird that burns out, turns to ash, and then comes back. Last one. Yeah, well, we're going to read about the story that the phoenix told. It was written by April Rosario, but it's inspired by the story of the phoenix in Greek mythology, which means it's been around for a really long time. So once upon a time, a long, long time ago, there lived a magnificent phoenix. Her feathers glowed with the colors of the sun, beautiful shades of gold, crimson, and orange. Her feathers were so beautiful that the human beings of the land thought she carried pieces of the sunrise on her wings. But she was not only known for her beauty, but for her wisdom as well. And it was her wisdom that the people of the land turned to one dreadful year. You see, that was the year a great storm had swept through the land, leaving destruction in its wake. Full of despair, the people went to the phoenix, seeking her guidance. "Great Phoenix," they asked, "whatever shall we do? How can we find hope when everything feels lost?" You might be feeling that way sometimes too. The phoenix responded by telling them a story. "This is the story of how I came to be," the phoenix began. "Long ago, in my very first life, I lived in a land of eternal spring. The days were gentle and the nights calm. My feathers were colorful, but not as colorful as they are now. And my strength was impressive, but not as mighty as it is now. One day the land was struck by a great fire. Flames consumed everything in their path, including the tree that held my nest. I fought to escape, but the fire was relentless. It consumed me, and in the blaze I felt the searing pain of being burnt and turned to ash. Yet, as the fire burned, something extraordinary happened. What I thought was my last breath actually filled my lungs with a new strength. And with that newly discovered strength, from the ashes, I began to stir. Slowly, I emerged, reborn. And as I looked at my feathers, I saw that the fire had not destroyed them, but made their color more vibrant than before. And over the years, this has happened again and again, with the pain of the fire not destroying me, but leaving me stronger and more beautiful than before. And so, friends, said the phoenix, I ask you, as you look around at the destruction, are you sure that rubble is all you see? And with the phoenix story and question filling their mind, they looked again at the destruction and rubble around them. And just as the phoenix had discovered new strength in her ashes, the people noticed a new type of power arising among them as they found strength in sharing their burdens and working together. And just as the phoenix had watched the fire make her feathers even more beautiful, the people slowly noticed a new and more beautiful type of love arose between them as they realized they didn't need to heal and recover all alone. The people indeed were stronger and more beautiful and even more joyful than before because they worked together. There is a lot I really like about the story, but the biggest thing is the way the story reminds us that when times are hard and seem hopeless, we need to keep looking. Because even though those hard times hurt, a new type of strength and beauty arise from it. Or to put another way, if we look hard enough, we can find joy in the midst of difficult times. So, kids, in the week and the days ahead, may all of us, kids and adults alike, hold on to this story. And remember, keep looking for the strength, the beauty, and the joy that is trying to arise.
Rise up, O flame, by the light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Rise up, O flame, by the light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Well, I bet by now you are like just really wanting to know what this craft is all about, right? So you get to make a flaming phoenix chalice. Now, this is not a typical Unitarian Universalist chalice. This is special, just for us. So this is what it's going to look like when you're done. First of all, you're going to write or draw a sorrow that you've had on one half of the plate. And yes, they're already cut for you. This will be the base of your chalice, like the ashes that the phoenix arises from. And then you're going to write or draw the joy that arose from your ash of your sorrow, which left things more beautiful than before. This will be the cup of your chalice. You can tell it's the cup because it has a hole with a silver brad at the top. Not that kind of brad. The brad that you push through and it pulls on each side to hold something in place. I've already put those in there for you because I was afraid they would get lost. So that's how you know that that's the top. Then you're going to glue the cup of the chalice to the base of the chalice. So there's a glue stick in there for you. So that the joy is on the top and that hole with the brad, this kind of brad, is in it. You want to glue it all together and then hold it to make the glue stick. Then you have construction paper so that you can make the flames, and there's scissors in there too, from the construction paper. You can make them like mine or make them however you want. These are your phoenix feather flames. If you don't want to deal with the brad, that's fine, and you can just glue your flames to the top. But if you would like to, you can use those little tongs on the back to poke holes in your flames, put them on that brad, close it back or open it back up so that it keeps them there, and then watch. You can turn off your chalice or turn on your chalice. Light it, blow it out, light it again. So if you want to do that, then you've got to use the brad. If you need help, there are lots of people here who will help you. Then you can decorate your chalice. So children and youth, there are stickers and gems in your bags. And adults, there are stickers on your table. If you want them, you can get them too. You can even add, children and youth, glitter glue to brighten your phoenix flames. And that's in your bags as well. And adults, yes, there's a couple on your table too. Return any extra items to your bag, but then you keep the chalice when you leave today. So, children, your box of bags is over there. It's orange. Youth, And adults who want colored pencils, your bag is yellow, and your box is yellow, and your bags are back there. And adults, if you're boring, there's pencils and pens, but there's also additional stuff over on your table over here, and your box is pink. All right, so let's have the children line up first by your orange box. And then youth, you can line up by your yellow box. And then adults, if you would like to participate, you do not have to. Everything in Unitarian Universalist is optional. It's pink. We'll bring you one.
We need to be able to be held by the chalice, to be held by the dark flowing. The space between the stars, the deep waters of the soul, the waters of grief, the ashes after the fire. If the adults could stop talking, I'd really appreciate it. It is the adults who are still talking, y'all. These deep waters, these ashes after the fire, are the fertile places if we let them be. If we trust the deep, the dark flowing, if we bathe in that deep, dark flowing, the night of grief is as alive as the flame. The night of grief, the deep, dark waters of sorrow bathe us in mercy and mystery and love. Bathe us and birth in us mercy, mystery, and love. But only if we tear ourselves away from our phones long enough to allow ourselves to be held. The chalice that holds us may be nature, the cool breeze and soft light of the forest, the bird song. Feel free to put some birds on your chalice craft. The ebb and flow of the ocean waves, the sound of their cresting and crashing, the sudden sight of a hawk in flight, or the glimpse of the red tail of a fox. The chalice that holds you might be family or a close friend, a coworker, or even a stranger. The chalice that holds you might be this congregation. The chalice that holds you might be a chant or a poem, a story, a book, a movie. The chalice that holds you might be a practice like yoga or dance, tai chi, maybe chess. And I feel like I might be making it sound easy, but though it's simple, it's not always easy to pull ourselves away from the pain. It might be easier to read that next news article or play that video game or watch that reality TV show. It might be easier to distract ourselves in 100,000 different ways. And before video games and iPhones and reality TV shows, we still had ways to distract ourselves. One of the ways is finding someone or something to blame. And sometimes there is someone or something to blame, but even then we need to start in the ashes. We need to descend into the deep, into the dark flowing, to be bathed in mercy and mystery and love. We need to feel the sorrow, the grief, the loss, and to be held in that sorrow, in that grief, in that loss, because the flame only rises from the depths, from the dark flowing of the fertile chalice, the flame rises. So I'm going to share with you a practice. You can do it while you work on your craft, or some of you aren't doing the craft, so you can do it right now with me. It's from Rabbi Shefa Gold. It's called Heaven and Earth Breathing. So we're going to breathe in, and on the exhale, we're going to imagine that we're sending our energy deep into the earth. And then on the inhale, that we're pulling the energy up into our center. And then we go the other way. We breathe up into the heavens, into the sky, and we pull energy as we breathe in back into our center. And we just continue like that. Exhaling deep into the earth, and then pulling the energy up into your center. Exhaling up into the heavens, and then pulling from the sky, from the sun, that energy into your center, feeling your heart expand, and then exhaling down into the earth, up into your center, pulling from the earth that strength, that solidity, and then exhaling up with that rising energy into the sky, and then pulling from the sky into your center. In these challenging times, this is a way you can practice balance, breathing down into the earth to ground yourself, pulling the energy up from the earth on your inhale, exhaling up into the heavens, pulling the energy back into your center. But there may be times when you just really are scattered and you need grounding. So then you can breathe down into the earth, pull the energy up with the inhale, and then you can repeat the earth. Go down into the earth again. Deeper and deeper, and pull the energy up from the earth to ground yourself if you feel scattered. Breathe deep into the earth, exhaling, and pulling the energy back into your center. And one more time, deep into the earth. And then pulling the energy up into your center. Or maybe you don't have enough energy, you're depressed, you're feeling desperation, you've loss of hope. Then you might choose to breathe up into the sky and pull that energy into your center. And then exhale again up into the sky to give you that lift you need, and pull the energy from the sky back into your center. And again, up, exhaling into the sky, and back into your center. Up into the sky for that vision, that beauty, that joy, and then pulling it back into the center. And then just twice we'll do heaven and earth to bring us back to balance. Breathing down into the earth, pulling from the earth into your center, and then up into the sky. Inhaling back into your center, pulling that energy into your center, feeling your heart expand, and then breathing, exhaling down into the earth, up into your center, up into the sky, and then back down into your center again. Today is Easter, the celebration of the resurrection of Jesus. I told you there wasn't going to be a lot of Jesus, but this is the Jesus part. Jesus, who was crucified but rose from the dead on the third day. And I can't say that I believe this literally. You're free to. But what I believe is that there was an empire hoarding power and spreading suffering, lashing out at anyone who seemed to threaten their power. Does that sound familiar? So Jesus and his followers spread a counter message, a message of love, of hope, of mercy, of compassion, of justice. And the empire tried to stamp out this message. They thought that if they got rid of Jesus, the message would die too. But the message wasn't only alive within Jesus. The people had bathed in the love of Jesus. They had flourished in his mercy and compassion. They felt God's justice like a flame, a fire of commitment that burned within the community. That this fire of commitment came to life in their hearts and lived in the spaces between the people. So when Jesus was taken from them, they mourned. They grieved. the sorrow was almost too much to bear. Raise your hand if you felt that kind of sorrow before. And if your hand isn't up, it'll be up at some point in your life, I promise you. They weren't sure they could go on. They felt like they might lose all hope. But then, there in the depths, from the dark flowing, there arose a love and mercy like they'd never felt before, not even from Jesus when he was alive. It was like the phoenix in the fire burned up to ash, and then from the ashes the phoenix rose again, stronger and brighter than before. This is how it was with Jesus' resurrection. From the ashes, from the tomb, the love rose up, stronger and brighter than before, and the people knew. They knew in their bones that there is a love that cannot die, that cannot be put out. And Jesus had been merely a vessel for this love, and now it was up to them. Now it's up to us to rise up in love, to keep this love alive in the world, to burn with the fire of commitment, to pass it on to others. So the fire always rises up from the ashes, from the chalice, the flame. It's up to us to do this, to descend into the deep, to be held in the dark flowing, bathed in love and mercy and mystery of the chalice, and then to rise up with beauty, joy, power, and vision like a flame, like a phoenix. Does anybody notice that the phoenix is shaped like a cross, like a chalice, like a human body? We're called to be that resurrected Jesus in the world. We're called to be that chalice. We're called to be that phoenix rising up from the ashes. May it be so.
When we live with deep assurance of the day that birth within, there our promise finds fulfillment, and our future can begin.
Please rise in body or in spirit and join in our closing words. As we extinguish our chalice, I invite you to join me now in our community blessing with these words of David Bombo, slightly adapted. This church is dedicated to the proposition that by celebrating our differences and embracing our diversity, we honor the unity that makes us one and binds us forever together in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. We pause now in silent witness to that unity. Now that we've gathered together in this welcoming and inclusive spiritual home, let us go out into the world inspired to share our values. Have a great week.
Happy Easter, everyone.